2, the stages of the growth of the Bible. Stages of the growth of the Bible. In this chapter, we will be dealing about the stages such as events, oral tradition. What means oral tradition? Okay, here, short form I am using. Written tradition, edited tradition, canonical accounts of tradition. Events, oral tradition, written tradition, edited tradition, canonical accounts of tradition. The first point, or the first section, events. Edited tradition. The first part is events. The written Bible grew out of historical events. Grew out of historical events. The written Bible grew out of historical events. The events such as call of Abraham, patriarchal period, or the slavery, and the Persian exile, and so on. We'll see what are the events. You can write down even the dates, approximate dates. 1850, a call of Abraham. BC. 1250 BC, or in this period 1850 to 1250, call of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, slavery in Egypt. Call of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, slavery in Egypt. And in 1250, Moses and the Exodus. Moses and Exodus. These are the historical events, okay? We are speaking about the historical events out of which the written Bible came into being. And we have in this period of Judges and Saul, period of Judges and Saul, and 1000 BC, David, temple in Jerusalem, and the divided kingdom, kingdom divided. Kingdom divided. And in 922 BC, kingdom divides, okay? Kingdom divides. Then prophets are called, prophetic calls. Then we have in 721 BC, northern kingdom falls into Assyrians. 587, this is very famous. Southern kingdom falls into the Babylonian exile. Southern kingdom, Babylonian exile. Babylonians. Then 537, Persians conquer Palestine. Persians conquered Palestine. (336) we have the Alexander the Great. (167) Maccabean revolt. Maccabean revolt. And 63 we have Roman conquer. Roman conquer near to the east. And 7 to 6 BC we have Jesus born. Jesus born, birth of Jesus. We have AD 30, the crucifixion. And AD 100, approximate date, end of apostolic age. End of apostolic age. So these are the events. Out of which the Bible have came into being, grew up, the written Bible. And we have the knowledge of all these events from the sources available to us. But these events or the Bible that we are holding, the written Bible, have gone through different stages. The first stage is events. Events occurred. The second stage is, as we have seen, oral tradition. So all the sources that we have has its basis on the literature that we are holding on, the oral tradition and written tradition. First one is oral tradition. The second point in the section, oral tradition. The oral tradition is, for your better understanding, I tell about my family. To my near and dear ones. And they tell what I told them to the others. And their sons tell to the other generation. Therefore, oral tradition is transmission of the information orally, one to the other. Our ancestors, our fathers and forefathers, they have spoken about their greatness to their children, and they speak to us, and we speak, and we transmit that information to the next generation. That is oral tradition. We take some points about this. God revealed through different events, and the people talk about those experiences. God revealed through events, and those events were spoken by the people in basing on their different experiences. And those experiences were handed on to the generation by the word of mouth. That is oral tradition, by speaking, word of mouth. And the oral tradition has different forms. Such as blessings, curses, songs of battle, laws, stories, legends, etc. So in our experience, beside the written traditions, oral tradition exists. Though we have the written tradition, the written material with us, besides this, oral tradition exists. And what is the motivation of this oral tradition? Motivation of the oral tradition. The motivation of this oral tradition is in order to exhort the people to preserve the past or to instruct the new generation and to glorify one's own family or belongings. Because when I say something about my family to the coming generation, then I tell about the good things, to keep up that stand and to preserve the customs and systems of the culture. Therefore, the motivation is to preserve and to continue the system in a way that was followed. That is the motivation, my brothers. And therefore, reading of the events preserve the tradition. Preserve the tradition. And who preserved this oral tradition? That is the community. Community preserves or protects, guards the oral tradition. Whatever is said in the oral tradition cannot be accurate according to us. Therefore, we say, though oral tradition basically is accurate, it is also inaccurate in certain situations. For example, I hear about this duster. Okay? I hear from a person about this duster. Duster will be with wood, with a sponge and different style and so on. When I hear about this duster, and if the matter or the information what I heard about the duster doesn't match to this, then it is not accurate. Therefore, in the oral tradition, trusting in the community and its basis, we say it is accurate. And also there is also inaccuracy occurs basing on the observation of the information. Whatever it may be, we say the oral tradition extremely accurate because it is the product of the entire community. Because it is the product, as we said, community preserves the oral tradition. Whatever the stories or the legends or whatever the laws or the songs for battle or the blessings that we have in the scripture, in other writings, these are handed on by the community. Therefore, we believe that these are accurate. This is the oral tradition. Then the written tradition. We said about events. There are historical events occurred, and those events are spoken about, transmitted by the word of mouth in order to preserve it, in order to encourage or exhort the coming generation. Now we talk about the written tradition. The written tradition is based upon the oral tradition. Based upon the oral tradition. So, the traditional stories which are spoken about were spoken in different situations. But whereas now, if the writer writes about the story, he doesn't, though he keeps in mind the situation of that time, but his intention of writing is to encourage the people. For example, in the Bible, we read about, as we have seen, which didn't take place, which is not included in the first Bible, the song of three young men. It is written in order to encourage the people of Israel to have the trust in the Lord, Yahweh. Therefore, my brothers, all these stories, though they were written in different times, the intention of the writer may be to exhort the people. Though he had the background of different situation, that story is applicable to the time of today. Therefore, the writer always uses all this oral tradition, whatever he heard, not to the past, but he applies to the present. There is a written tradition. And coming to the fourth stage is the edited tradition. The edited tradition. So, as we have seen in the oral tradition and the written tradition, in different timings, the people have inherited different stories or matters. And what they have inherited, it is being edited. It is being edited. See, my brothers, the Bible that we have today have undergone different editions. And we see, as you are stepping forward, you will come to know how the Bible was edited step by step. And it is said the first books of the Bible, Pentateuch, have undergone different editions. Therefore, what the book we are holding has undergone different editions. People have edited basing on the laws or the rule or the church and its rules. Therefore, the fourth stage is the edited tradition. And the fifth stage is the canonical accounts of tradition. Canonical accounts of tradition. Canonical accounts of tradition. Here I would like to say before this, as a point of edited tradition, the text is layered. The text is layered because it is not work of a single generation. Why it is layered? It is very clear by the term layered. A tree is there. It has different layers. Different layers. Therefore, what exists here do not exist here. So there is development in the text. As the edition is done, so many corrections are done, so many things are being added and removed. Therefore, the text is layered, and the edited stage has its layered stages. And the fourth is canonical accounts of tradition. When a book is becoming a canonical, that means it is accepted in the canon of the scripture. When the book becomes canonical, When the book becomes canonical, it is accepted in the canon of the scripture. How the book becomes canonical as a part of the scripture? Is accepted as a part of the scripture or part of the canon when the community recognizes and acknowledges that book has its basis an accurate reflection of the faith and the religious beliefs. So the community plays a greater role to become a book as a canonical. In the service or in the worship, the scripture was being read, and the people hear what is being read, and they read from different books. Some books were accepted, some books were in the discussion. So it is the community that plays a greater role to accept a book as a canonical. Therefore, we can say a book becomes canonical not by legislation, but because of the use. Because of the use of the book by the people in a worship, a book became a canonical. And different books were in discussion whether to be canonical, whether to be accepted, whether this book reflects the faith and whether this book reflects the religious beliefs of Jewish people. Therefore, whatever the book was in accordance, or which the book promotes the faith and the religious beliefs of the people, it was accepted as a canonical book, or it becomes a part of the scripture. And a book which doesn't go along with the belief and the religious faith of the people, it becomes a book in discussion. Therefore, my brothers, besides this Gospels that we have today, you might have heard about the Gospel of Thomas and different Gospels. All these books are being read in the community for the worship. But whereas only few books were accepted as canonical, and the other books, maybe the Gospel of Thomas or Gospel of James and so on, they are in discussion. Therefore, my brothers, it is through use in the worship the community recognizes that this book is canonical. And it is by Council of Trent in the year 1546 closed the discussion. Till then they were discussing which book to be canonical, which book to be removed, which book to be added. But it is the Council of Trent closed the discussion and decided which are to become a canonical. Thereafter, there was no discussion which are to be added. Therefore, whatever the edition comes. Recently, we have Telugu Bible. The edition of the Telugu Bible has come. So in the Telugu Bible, we cannot add any other book, we cannot remove any other book, because already it is fixed. The books of the Bible are fixed. Though the editions come in, though the versions come in, but the books in the Bible cannot be removed or added. Because the discussion about the canonicity of the Bible or the canon of the Bible is closed in the Council of Trent in 1546, closed. Therefore, it is fixed. Therefore, my brothers, these are the stages that the Bible that we hold have come into be. We said there are events, those events were spoken about, and those events spoken about were written down, and those written down events were edited and which became a layer text, and the edited ones were read in the community and accepted as canonical. Okay, dear brothers, therefore, as we have said in the first class of today, that when we know about the stages, how this book came into be, it helps us in a better way to understand the Bible. Therefore, knowing these stages, how this Bible came into be, the written text came into existence, how this canon has come into existence, then it helps us, oh, the events were spoken, and those spoken events are written, and they are edited. Now we have canonical accepted book, which we cannot remove or add. We need to accept. Okay, dear brothers, thank you. So we close this class today, and we begin with next section in the coming class. Thank you.